Before I give you an overview, he says, trying to reach up to the microphone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Steve Dale and I work for Rarawa as a quality advisor. I'm actually from Rarawa, Kiwaimamaki, I'd just like to thank our scribes and our facilitators. We've got some really good information coming through from your kōrero around your pods yesterday, so well done. Looking forward to another good day today. In terms of what we discussed yesterday, for those of you who weren't here, we broke the discussion up into 3 areas around the issues, the priorities, and the where to from here with regards to the social PO. And today we'll be doing that same format for the rest of the PO. So this feedback is around the social PO workshops from yesterday. So yesterday you spoke of the social issues confronting Te Rarawa. As would be expected, they are depressing in that they are depressingly familiar. Nevertheless, part of the summit is to identify and acknowledge those issues so that we can clearly plot the way forward to addressing them. And while some of the issues are familiar to us, the point that they are being spoken by yourselves means that we can own those issues rather than hearing them from others. So, what were they? Yesterday you suggested that there was a clear failure of the government systems that purport to meet the needs of our people, in that they fail to enable equal access, and they almost always lack cultural competence. Therefore, they fail to understand, let alone promote, a Māori viewpoint. Hence, it was not surprising that retention of Te Reo Māori was such a challenge. You noted that our young people have limited training or employment opportunities within their own rohe, so they travel away, often taking their families, often not returning due to no sustainable employment, let alone somewhere nice to live. Those that remain behind continue to persevere and try to uphold our marae, our whānau and our communities, but, you pointed out, it is exhaustingly hard work. Some of our whānau who carry the label unemployment beneficiaries are actually the ones who mow the lawns and staff the kitchens at our marae, the ones who support our communities, but the system does not acknowledge those roles. Instead, it chastises them for not participating in the mainstream workforce. The lack of sustainable employment, combined with ineffective government policies, leaves some of our whānau living in poverty, and too often suffering from chronic physical, emotional and spiritual ailments, too numerous and complex to name. There are some of our whānau in Tamariki who live in substandard, unhealthy housing, often combined with drug and alcohol abuse. Some of these environments make our children vulnerable to predators, both seen and unseen. You also pointed out that some of our children are in SIP's custody and some of our tāne are in Her Majesty's custody, and perhaps there is a connection there. So, those were the issues that you highlighted, and with a grasp on those broad and somewhat unpleasant issues, you sought to identify the priorities for Te Rarawa in order to address those issues. You ranked education as the key priority, noting that education underpins progress across the broader range of issues. You highlighted the need for education that captures the attention and commitment of our young people. You wanted Te Reo and Te Rarawatanga to feature in education programs and curriculum. You wanted more marae wānanga and greater support for pohanga reo and kurikaupapa Māori. Furthermore, you wanted Te Rarawa to exercise leadership in generating change in the education system, promoting higher quality teachers, more male teachers, more relevant training linked to community development and employment opportunities like housing construction and retrofitting. You emphasised the need for Te Rarawa leadership in the health system and right across all aspects of those government systems affecting our people. Te Rarawa needs to be at the forefront of their own rohe. In this way you could create the conditions for change, even if you needed to use your elbows to get into that space. Uplifting the living standards of Te Rarawa people and reducing poverty was a clear priority. While this would require innovation, investment and development, it would also require whakaaro pai, the power of positive thinking that can make such a dramatic impact on all aspects of a person's well-being, as we heard yesterday. Quality housing, home ownership, and somewhere for our whānau to come home to live, all featured in your priorities, along with safe kāinga, safe marae, and safe communities. So, with an understanding of the key issues and the key priorities, you set about exploring what it was that we needed to do going forward from the summit. And underpinning the different suggestions was a consistent call for ngā tikanga o Te Rarawa to feature highly in any strategic developments. We strongly emphasised the importance of relationships and the need to rebuild whanaungatanga amongst our whānau. Better communication was a call that reverberated throughout the workshop feedback. You prioritised innovative thinking and sustainable use of resources. The notion of community development incorporating economies of scale and employment creation was mentioned favourably, and those elements fit nicely with the prospect of a strategic housing development plan that involves other te hiku iwi. Your kōrero reinforced the need for a strategic approach going forward, including support for hapu and marae planning and development. Practically, you wanted to see better access to education grants and scholarships, as well as mentoring and tertiary support. You also suggested that start-up and growth funding for whānau and hapu business development would be a sensible way to create sustainable employment, as well as whānau and hapu growth. Politically, you identified a desire to hold government accountable for the failure of its systems to meet the needs of Te Rarawa whānau. At a local level, better representation in local government would hopefully help to address the growing liability associated with unpaid rates, but investment in land development would also go a long way to addressing that issue. You repeatedly emphasised the need for greater collaboration, whether that was with Pākehā, local service providers, or ngā iwi o te hiko o te ika. You noted that the issues we face are complex, and the need to create safe environments for whānau and tamariki and stop generational abuse would not be an overnight fix. Any remedies would require us to embrace the wairuatanga mantra of tika, ono and aroha, rebuild whanaungatanga, raise awareness and literacy about these various issues, and develop strategies based on our authentic Te Rarawa cultural identity, te reo and tikanga. So, looking to the future, you felt that we would be successful if the population of Te Rarawa, resident within Aotearoa, increased substantially. You wanted to see our Te Rarawa people employed and healthy, going through life stacking our taumata and marae, and achieving the intergenerational transfer of mātauranga o Te Rarawa. Our people would no longer live in poverty, and the mana of our tāne and wahine, as well as our taumātua and kuia, would be reinvigorated and upheld. Our young people would be involved in regular hui like this summit. We would have festivals to celebrate our success, and our taitamariki would be able to perceive their own brilliance and fulfill their potential. Ko rea, ngā mihi atu kia koutou, mō tō koutou whakaora pai, e ngā koutou katoa.
Tēnā everyone. As it says for the theme of the day, where are we at and what are our dreams? That is a fairly frank examination of where we're at. And me ana ki e rā kōrero katoa.